Robert Daly is the director of the Kissinger Institute on China in the United States at the Woodrow Wilson Center, former U.S. Foreign Service officer. He joins us now with his analysis of this story. And I'm sure Robert heard Jillian's reporting about this U.S. investigation that's underway of the lab in Wuhan. I guess the kind of larger geopolitical question, and maybe too early to get a grasp of this, but these are the two largest economies in the world, and we know about the frictions that were there and also the agreements on trade that were there before this virus. What might the relationship between the United States and China look like after all of this? Will there be any trust left?
Well, the evidence is that the coronavirus, the pandemic, and China's handling of it is going to make an already contentious relationship even more deeply distrustful. We've seen decoupling, partial, but significant decoupling of supply chains, of technologies. It's beginning to see some financial system decoupling. And now, because of the distrust and the media expulsions, we also see decoupling of our knowledge and information systems. So it looks like we're getting more alienated from each other.
I want to put a statement up from the Chinese ambassador to the United States that was given to us. It's a little less aggressive, I would point out, as I read it, than what we heard from the foreign ministry in Beijing. But he says, I think as far as this question, of course, we have to find eventually the answer to where the virus came from. But this is a job, he says, for scientists to do, and not for diplomats, not for journalists to speculate, because such speculation will help nobody. It's very harmful. Why not let our scientists do their professional job, give us some answer eventually? Now, it's obviously is a job for journalists to do. Be that as it may, the Chinese have a different approach to journalism than we do here in the United States. But that doesn't necessarily deny the fact that this virus may have originated in this lab. And that means that if that's true, if it ends up being true, this is a very significant cover-up, right?
Yeah, I'd be very careful with phrases like the fact that it may have originated. That's not really a fact. There is speculation that it may have come out of the lab. There is no evidence to date. The story about its origination there is plausible. It is plausible to think that if it had originated in the lab, that China would have covered it up. But to date, it is true that there's an investigation, but no facts. So we're talking about hypotheticals to date. Furthermore, if this does turn out to be true, it would be tough to determine without a Chinese leak. Then I think it will change the intensity of distrust toward the Chinese Communist Party, but it doesn't change the nature of our concerns about the Chinese Communist Party. We already know that they covered this up in the early days, that there was persecution of doctors, of journalists, of academics who critiqued the Chinese government. So if this were confirmed, and again, it's solely speculation at this point, then it would dial all that up to 11,
that point,
but it wouldn't change the nature of the concern.
Real quick, do you think we'll ever know for sure, for certain, or it'll just be out there where, we'll always have to speculate, which leads to even more uncertainty in the relationship?
Well, I think that the only way to have any evidence of this that I can think of is if we had a reliable leak from within the Chinese system, which is not unthinkable. We have seen leaks from within the Chinese system. So even in that case, the Chinese government would probably deny it. My approach to these things is to invoke Occam's razor. When you're faced with a complex set of data, you take the simplest explanation that covers all of the known facts. And to date, that explanation is zoonotic transmission, probably from hognose bats through another animal to a wet market. And what is being speculated about with reference to this virology lab, it's plausible, but there's a lot of stuff in this world that is plausible and unproven. So far, that's where we are, but there should absolutely be an investigation if there are any real leads, and we need to know where this originated.
Right, and from what we understand, that investigation on the U.S. side is underway. So, well, like I say, we'll follow that, and I'm trying not to get ahead of the facts on it. Robert Daly, thank you for your analysis. We appreciate it. More on this a little bit later on. Melissa?